Hi, Krista. It's dinner.
I'm
Should we start now? Krista, it's dinner time. How do
it's
those words feel to you when you hear that?
yeah, it's dinner time. I I have to say this is in my strength zone. So
Mhm,
this is not something that I dread. And I
mhm.
think a part of it is I've had a lot of years of raising children and a lot of years of being married, and which is really when I started cooking. That's why I say that, because I didn't start cooking till I got married. And I just have had a lot of years to practice this of getting food on the table. And I will say a part of it is I really believe in mealtime as
Mhm.
a couple, mealtime as a family, mealtime as a community. So gathering with other people from friends, neighbors, church. So I believe in mealtime. I believe in breaking bread together. And so it's important to me. How
Yeah.
how does it land with you?
Well, a little bit of panic, like, oh no, I don't know what's for dinner. Um, I also have had a lot of years, but I have to give this disclaimer from the very beginning, since we're talking specifically about dinner time. Since the pandemic, my husband has taken over for the most part making dinner.
Yeah, that's just been I just don't even know if we want to talk about that.
Right. So I just want to throw this out there that there's lots of ways for families to make this work.
Hmm.
And for him, when he was stuck at home, it was a really good differentiation between end of workday and beginning of workday. And he has kind of geeked out. He has that Enneagram 5 wing. And so he geeks out on things. And so he watches TikToks and he does all of that. All to say, I also don't care that much about it. And he cares more about what goes in his mouth than I do. Like, I'm like, I'll eat whatever's put in front of me. Whereas he's like, no, I want it to taste good. I want the meat to be cooked correctly. And I don't care as much. So there's also that dynamic in a relationship. But
I feel
I will,
like there's always people who eat to live and there's people who live to eat.
yes,
And it is a difference. It's a
yes,
big difference.
it is. And I enjoy food. I really do. But I also don't care that much.
Mhm.
And so my husband does. The other thing is, I got really, really sick of people complaining. I
Mm,
never had 100% approval on a dinner. That's not true. There are a couple things I'm going to talk about today that always had 100% approval. But just got tired of it. I got tired of it. Okay. So those are
does
all my
Derek, does
disclaimers.
he get 100% approval on
No,
his meals?
absolutely not. And he's like, so sad. Like, cry me a
He
river.
doesn't
I don't
care.
care.
Yeah.
No, he does not
He's like,
care.
I'm enjoying this. So,
Yeah. And whereas I'm like, I worked so hard and you didn't help me and blah, blah, blah. I could have been
mhm.
doing so many other things that I find more interesting. Um,
Right.
okay. So anyway, I do have a lot of years though of making dinners, and I do sometimes make dinner. So I just want to throw that out there as my disclaimer as we talk about this. And probably Krista's going to have better ideas than I do in general anyway on this topic.
I don't know about that, but I will say I love this topic and I really believe in the why of
Mm-hmm.
mealtime because the
Mm-hmm.
research is also there. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
believe in it just because I like to gather around a table with people. But as we've talked about before on the podcast, the research is very clear that it is important for people to gather around a table. It decreases so many risks from eating
Mm-hmm.
disorders to risky behaviors to who our kids choose to hang out with. It really is fascinating, the research. So, for people that are interested, we can link to a couple of articles on that as well. But let's dive in to some of the nitty gritty of getting meals on the table for the fall, because we are going to rise up this fall in
Mm-hmm.
getting back to the table, because maybe summertime has been a little hit and miss, but let's get back to the table and rise up this fall. So, what makes a great weeknight meal? Let's just define that.
Okay. So when I think weeknight meal, I think busy, and I think simplicity. So I want it to be fast as far as prepping that night. Maybe there's some other prep that happens earlier, but fast for prepping that night. Simple, that gets to the fast, right? and perhaps easy to serve at different points in the evening. We are still a sports family at our house, and so we have people coming and going, though we really try to have everyone eat dinner together every night. But game nights, sometimes people are leaving early for warm-ups and everybody else is not ready to eat at 4:00, so something that people can eat, warm up, maybe in the microwave if they're coming home from work, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And for me, I would just add to that. Maybe Derek and I would be on the same page with this. It has to taste good. I am big on that. It has to taste good and like not get super dry. Is like we're like, because I agree with you, the staging of dinner is real and sometimes that needs to happen, but I don't like it when things dry out. So that would be another consideration for me.
Okay.
What about tips on prepping ahead? What tips do you have?
Well, because I tend to be that person who's like, oh shoot, panic mode, I like to have some things in the pantry that I know I can whip something up that are familiar. So things like quesadillas. So anything that's kind of on the Mexican basics realm, I like to have stocked from Costco. We get tortillas, cheese, beans, salsa, onions, avocados, which I will say avocados at Costco are the best price that I can find. Ground beef. Also, Costco's organic ground beef has not gone up in price, people. Every other kind of meat has, but that organic ground beef has stayed the same price.
I know. I love that beef. It's good.
And then also Italian too. Again, we get at Costco pasta, pesto, the Kirkland brand pesto, tomato sauce, grated Parmesan cheese. Those are all things we have. And then I can almost always make something for people to eat. Rice, I guess, would go in that Mexican element too, that people will go. So that
Are
for
those
me,
100% approval meals?
kind of. Because my husband's diabetic, pasta's hard. Anything high carbs is really hard for him. So that's another reason why he's in charge of food now. He likes to eat it, but it just is hard for him to do in big portions that fill him up. So, but I will say Mexican, yes. If we do anything that's like build your own, people can customize it.
Yeah, that's what I like about bowls is that people can put what they want in it and leave out the things that they don't. And I even do that with salads as well. But I do think that's a good point about how you cook, because like I don't cook with a lot of carb. And so that makes mealtime different for me. And for our family, we have to prep differently. So I think that is a good point. Like, are you making a lot of quick pastas and things, or are you prepping in a different way where you're marinating meats all at once? So that would be one of my make ahead tips, is that when I come home from Costco, I actually make all the marinades at one time and then throw everything in the freezer so that I'm only really prepping the meat one time. And then I just have to get it out and thaw it and grill it.
Okay. That's good that's a great tip. And guess what we just got? Speaking of geeking out husband, I leave on vacation without him. I come home. This is what's here in my house, is a food saver, like a machine with the plastic.
Yes.
And oh my gosh, it's like a new toy. Anyway, again, we are prepping for fall. We are saying we are going to do dinner well as a family, and this is going to help us, a new tool. Okay, what do you like to have as far as in your pantry? Because Krista, you've got a well-stocked pantry, and what helps you whip together something quickly?
I would say beyond what you said, because I have some of those things as well, but coconut milk and curry are always in my pantry. So we like to do a lot of curry, and I'll talk a little bit more about curry when we get to the meals, but I have a special curry that I order off of Amazon, and that's always in my pantry. And then I mentioned the marinating. We always have meat in the freezer. Shrimp is something people don't think of as much, but I always have a bag of Costco shrimp in the freezer because it's so fast and so easy. So we'll also get to a recipe that people can try with that, but that's a great one, just to always keep the bag of shrimp, buy it when it's on sale. And then cooked meat in the freezer. Like I usually have meat for soups, especially. So I've shredded chicken. so this is all part of what I do when I come home from Costco. I just cook it up. So I cook up some chicken that I have. I cook up Italian sausage. I love Costco's Italian sausage, and I just make the whole thing. And then I put it in Ziploc bags and put it in the freezer. So it's ready for recipes, whether that's a sauce I'm making or soups are usually what I put that in. And then patties. So we can throw these in the air fryer, or people can put them in for lunch or for a quick meal, but salmon patties, and then also the hamburger patties, which, some are better than others. So I do try and get the more real meat, that feel, I really do make my own hamburgers because I am opinionated. I'm like Derek. I am opinionated about meat and my meals, but for quick and easy, I try and keep something in the freezer like that for the air fryer.
Yeah. Which, can we give a shout out to the air fryer? Ours just died. So if you have a recommendation of a new one, Derek may have already ordered one, but we were already realizing we need to upgrade because we're starting to use this more and more.
Yes. And the biggest thing, I have the Instapot one.
Okay.
And I really like it. And it has high ratings on Consumer Reports. So I'd give a shout out to that one. I will not give a shout out to the ones that look like a toaster oven with racks. So in concept, you think that one will be better. It is not. It does not perform as well. And there's one by Amiright,
the chef.
Yeah, the chef. And I ended up throwing
Tossing
it out because it did not work as well. And of course, you only have so much room for appliances. And so
that's right.
I was like, no, I need a high performing air fryer, and the Instapot one is what replaced it.
Okay. Super good to know. Very helpful for me in this moment in my life. Okay. So let's get to the actual top 10 meals.
Okay.
In no particular order, right? This isn't like number one is our very, very favorite, but maybe came to mind first. What was the first thing on your list that you put down, Krista?
Well, let's go back to shrimp because that is so fast and easy. So you literally take your pan, you mince a bunch of garlic. So I honestly wouldn't even say how much garlic. I would say, like, I love garlic. So I'm probably doing like 8 to 10 cloves of garlic, and throw it in a pan with some either avocado oil or grapeseed oil, not olive oil. Because a lot of people don't know, when olive oil does not have a high smoke point, and it actually goes into a bad cholesterol if you heat it too high. So you want to use an oil with a high smoke point that's healthy. So that's coconut oil, grapeseed oil, or avocado oil. So I heat the garlic up, and then you can do onion too if you want, but dump the bag into the pan and let the shrimp cook. And throw in some spinach at the end, and you've got a meal. I usually put it over cauliflower rice, but you can also put it over orzo pasta or, some kind of, I would say the pasta it works best with is like an angel hair, something kind of light. So orzo or angel hair or something, but I just do cook cauliflower rice, and it's great. It's a great quick meal.
Yeah. I was going to say that sounds really fast. So would you say 20 minutes to make it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really fast. And then the other one that quickly came to mind was my killer flank steak, which is really one of my go-to flank steak recipes. It's probably the marinade I make the most. I usually always have it marinating at least one steak marinating in the freezer. And we will link to it. It's a fantastic recipe. Everyone loves that recipe. I've never met someone who doesn't like it. So it is 100% approval at this point.
Yeah.
And what I do is I just boil the marinade on the stove and serve it with the steak.
Great. Yeah. No, the grill is our friend on weeknight meals.
What came to mind quickly or what came to mind first for you?
Well, fan approved, 100% approved chicken noodle soup. Now, I love soups. My husband loves soups. Our kids don't really all love soups. But this chicken noodle soup is one thing that I know all of the ingredients off the top of my head. So when I'm at the grocery store, I can get it. And that's, chicken broth, chicken, carrots, onions, celery, fresh thyme, and then just some other seasonings.
Do you
and
use
broth
egg noodles?
and egg noodles. Yep.
Do you get them from
So
the freezer section?
I don't, but maybe I should.
A lot of people are opinionated about their egg noodles.
Yeah, well,
And
we're learning that I don't have high opinions on these things. So I just have people tell me, get them from the freezer section. So I'll start looking in the freezer section. So anyway, it's probably not what I'm going to make right now in August, but since we're talking about fall, it is a wonderful fall, cozy kind of food. And I make it when people are sick. So maybe there's that association too of mom caring for you, but it is really tasty. It's super tasty. And, I did not grow up on homemade chicken noodle soup. I grew up on Campbell's from a can. So
here to Campbell's.
So this was like, I felt like I was, speaking of Emerald, like I felt like I was some kind of major chef when I made this, but if I can do it, anybody can do it. And it is so much better. And I will never serve from a can again. I just can't.
And that's a great one. You can freeze without the noodles. So you can freeze it and then put the noodles in, and it's a great crock pot. So as we're talking about staging meals for different times of the day, it's great.
Yeah. And you can just do the noodles on the side too. And then they don't get soggy and absorb all the broth. If you want to do it a double batch, some for the next day. Okay.
And
so
can we just give a shout out to the zero noodles? So that is something I use. So it's just 0, 0, 0 on everything. And they're made of seaweed. So you can get zero noodles and you can put those in your chicken noodle soup. And Costco has one called, what's it called? Have you gotten it? It's like a zero noodle. There's another brand called Miracle Noodle, but Costco does have one version of the zero noodle in their deli section.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Okay. So those were our first 3. Number 4, Krista, what's number 4?
Number 4 is either lemon garlic salmon or brown sugar glazed salmon. So these are both super easy. So the salmon, I buy the wild caught salmon because of the high omega-3s in that. So I buy it when it's on sale at Costco in bulk because I do have a freezer, a big freezer in my garage, so I can store it. I know some people can't, but I do love that. And I try and eat salmon at least once a week. And so even though I know it'd be better if I ate it twice a week, which sometimes I do, but let me also give a shout out to Half Baked Harvest salmon bowl recipe, which has become a staple in our family. So if you're going to do salmon, here's 3 options for you. So the lemon garlic one is you literally just chop up garlic, put in some olive oil or some other oil, actually, if you're going to be broiling, and then lemon, put lemon over it and you're good to go. And you just marinate it for 30 minutes and then stick it either on the grill or the broiler. The brown sugar glazed salmon is the easiest one I to do. And it is such a crowd pleaser. I've never made it for someone where they haven't asked me the recipe. So we'll let that stand. It's brown sugar, paprika, and coarse salt. And you rub it on the salmon, you let it sit for 30 minutes, and then you grill it.
Okay.
And then the third one is the salmon bowls. And that is the current favorite in our family. And that is where you cut the salmon into bite-sized pieces. You make a sauce for it and you serve it with like a kind of a cucumber relish almost, but it doesn't sound that good. It's so good. It's amazing. So, and that's from Half Baked Harvest.
Yeah. It sounds almost Hawaiian, like with the fresh. Yeah. Okay. That sounds yummy. I'm a huge salmon fan. So yum.
Okay. Number 5.
Number 5, getting back to the crowd pleasing. Okay. This is going to sound very 1985, but taco salad. It gets to, I always have things in the pantry ready to go in the fridge. And also it's make your own. And you can adjust for carbs. So like I add rice to mine and my husband doesn't, those kinds of things. So it's very adaptable to everybody's taste buds and we love it. So good old fashioned with ground beef and taco seasoning, taco salad.
Back to basics.
Back to basics with, I mean, I would say I like to have avocado. I like to have lime. I like to have tortilla chips for some texture. And then everything else is kind of up for grabs. I
Okay.
can do. Okay. So number 6.
Number 6, let's talk sheet pan meals.
Yes, please.
So I love sheet pan meals because it's a one and done. You just throw everything on a sheet pan, you throw it in the oven, and it's vegetables and your meat. So the 2 that I will mention here is a sheet pan lemon chicken. And you can do this a couple of ways, but basically you marinate the chicken in a lemon, olive oil, garlic marinade type. And then you can also toss your vegetables with that. You also can cut up sourdough bread and you put the sourdough and vegetables on the bottom of the sheet pan. And then you stick the chicken on top of that. And then you put it in the oven and it is amazing. It's amazing.
What cut of chicken do you use?
I either use chicken thighs, skinless chicken thighs, or breasts.
Okay.
So, but most people I would say use thighs for that. And then the second sheet pan meal that I will mention is just kielbasa with roasted vegetables. And you literally just throw it all in the sheet on the sheet pan and you're done. Love those sheet pan meals. Let's not forget about those as we are getting back to fall.
Yeah, because they allow you to add so many vegetables and they taste so yummy. The veggies taste so yummy.
Yeah.
And they're simple and fast. So they meet my criteria. Okay, number 7 for me gets back to the customizable Mediterranean plate. So these are things we also tend to have often from Costco in our fridge. Kalamata olives, hummus, pita, gyro meat, prosciutto, cheeses, crackers, fruit. Now, I will say this meal does not fill you up in the same way a sheet pan might. Unless
Why?
I don't know, but perhaps, I don't know. When my husband has it, he needs to have kind of a second dinner at 10 o'clock.
Oh, interesting. So where
And that
do
might be
you
a blood sugar
buy,
thing.
where do you buy your gyro meat?
So we have Sprouts here in our neighborhood, 2 blocks from our house. So we can get it there. Our Costco does carry it. Derek's not a huge fan, but I like it. And my older girls like it. So again, it's kind of, you put it out and people can customize the plates. And then if you have like a yogurt base kind of sauce to go with it, with dill, like Costco sells a sauce kind of like that, a dipping
They have
spread.
a tzatziki.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I think it makes it really yummy.
We don't have gyro meat at our Costco.
Oh.
So that is so interesting. It's like when I go to San Diego to visit my son who's in college there, and I go into their Costco and I'm like, wait a minute, you have this? It's like, wait.
Yeah.
So that's so interesting.
Just like everything though, at Costco, you have to eat it. And I feel like we can't have it too frequently. Or you kind of lose the specialness of it. So we almost tend to buy it more at Sprouts in smaller portions because we just don't want to waste food. But
so I have a homemade hummus recipe that is the best. So I can link to that. But it really, like, homemade hummus is my jam. And it's so much better than the store-bought. And it doesn't take very long, but I will say the only place I really like tahini from is Trader Joe's. I like their tahini. I don't like tahini usually from the grocery store, from the regular grocery store. And then as far as gyro meat goes, I have a hard time finding it where we are, but Cash and Carry does have it. Do you have Cash and Carry there? It's a restaurant, like supply food store.
No. Okay. Number 8, Krista, what's on your list?
Number 8, let's talk meatball soup or meatball subs or spaghetti and meatballs. Lots of ways to do meatballs. So meatball soup, I love because it's, again, great crock pot meal. Usually people really like meatball soup and it's carb light. So I like that about the meatball soup. I'll link to that. The meatball subs is always a crowd pleaser and so easy. You literally just do meatballs and you can do homemade or the Costco ones. And then you just put sauce on and mozzarella and you stick it in the broiler and it's a 15-minute meal, not even probably. It's so fast. And then of course, spaghetti and meatballs it really is. You just do meatballs. And I like the Rao sauce that you can also get at Costco now. Do you have that? RAO?
I'm not sure. Maybe.
It's incredible. Like if you buy, I a lot of times will make my tomato sauce and freeze it. But if you're buying a tomato sauce, get this sauce. And it's actually low carb, but it's so good. It tastes like a marinara almost, but not quite. And it's the most delicious tomato sauce out there. And you can just put that on with Parmesan and you're good with the meatballs.
Yum. Okay. For my final number 9, I'm going to just throw out the good old formula: protein, carb, and veggies. For so many nights, I have said, what's our protein? What's our carb? What's our veggies? And then it's just mix and match. So when we were on a tighter budget, I would do this because I would buy whatever meat was on sale that week at the grocery store. So maybe it was pork chops or sausage. Chicken and steak are kind of more staples, but I would buy things and just say, well, we're going to pair this with, and then I'd look in the pantry and either pull out couscous or rice or quinoa, or of course, bread, if people are gluten rich, which we love bread at our house, and then either a salad, green salad, or vegetables of some kind. And again, I would buy what was seasonal and on sale. And then it kind of simplified meal planning in that I had 3 or 4 options in the fridge for a protein, 3 or 4 options for veggie. And then I just wouldn't plan that much. I would just kind of say, what do I feel like right now? So it added that planning, yet with flexibility.
Yeah. It's a good formula. It's a good, solid formula. Okay. Number 10, I will say zucchini boat pizzas. You can also just do regular pizzas, but pizza night, I'm always talking low carb because that's just how I eat. I eat super low carb. So you can do pizzas and you can get the Trader Joe's flatbread, which is easy to make things on, or you can get pre-made pizza dough or just throw, some flour and olive oil and yeast in even a dough maker. I don't know if you have a bread maker, but you can do the dough cycle on that and it does it for you. Or you can use zucchinis, which is what I do. So I just hollow out zucchinis and I make that my crust. Or you can do cauliflower crust because people are carrying that way more now than they used to. And then you just throw on the tomato sauce. Again, going to recommend Rao tomato sauce. And then just do your toppings. And I buy real pepperoni. I will say this, that is a tip I have. I buy real pepperoni blocks. Like I don't buy the pepperoni that's in the packages. So that I do go to the restaurant supply store for that. And I think you can get it at the butcher too, or whatever, probably in your area, you have tons of places you can buy that. And I slice my own pepperoni and it does make a difference. It is way better. And then I always have salami or sausage that I pull out from the freezer to put on there and mozzarella.
Yeah. Cause we did homemade pizzas for one of our girls' birthday parties this weekend. And so I went to the grocery store and bought pepperoni. And I was like, this is disgusting.
Yes.
It's not in the fridge. The shelf life is probably 7 years. And I mean, what about this is real? Did God make any part of this? I don't know. So, I actually didn't know there was another option and I'm going to have to look into.
Oh my goodness. There is another option. There is.
That's so embarrassing that I don't know this, but
no, it's not embarrassing. It's just like most people don't know, but you can go to the deli and get real pepperoni and
Okay.
go to cash and carry restaurant supply store and I bet you have one of those in your area. But anyway, you can buy a whole big thing of it, just like you do with salami. And
Well,
cut
we
your own.
have the Costco Business Center, which has a lot of big cuts of meat.
You have a lot of stuff we don't have. So I'm
Yeah.
just sure you've got it.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to do a bonus.
All right.
I'm going to talk about my curry.
Okay.
So the curry that all curry is not created equal. And I will say this is worth the investment, though it's not that much of an investment. It's not really expensive, but I will link to it. It's on Amazon. You actually buy curry paste. And you can get massaman, you can get yellow curry, you can get red curry, you can get, whatever curry you want, they have it. And but be careful because it's got heat with it. So unlike the spice, it has heat with the curry. So you have to be careful when you're putting it in your meals because you can get hot really fast. Like that's where the 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star thing comes from, is real curry paste. But it just tastes so much different. It really does. It just tastes so much better than the yellow spice that comes in the dried.
Okay, good bonus. And I will remind everyone that we did a few years ago an episode in the Fall Kitchen series with our retreat chefs, Abby and April, from the Everyday Table on kind of this topic a little bit of making dinner happen and simple ideas in the kitchen. And that's episode 201. So if you're thinking, yes, and more, please go back to our archives and listen to episode 201 with them because they really focus on whole foods, simple foods, and quality food that isn't complicated. And that is what I love.
Yeah, they're amazing. And we link to a lot of their fantastic recipes. So, yeah. All right. Happy cooking, everyone. Happy fall and happy cooking, and cheers to getting the meal on the table. And we are giving you a standing ovation, even if no one else is.
That's right.
We're cheering. We're cheering over here. Way to go, everyone.
Way to go. Way to go. It tastes good. I love it. 5 stars.
5 stars. The rating is 5 stars. We're giving it to you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.